everyone. Welcome to the Mastercard SME Master. We are very excited to have you here, and thank you so much for joining. Today, we will be talking through a number of topics that are pertinent to SMEs in Nigeria, especially with the downturn and with COVID-19 impacting a lot of SMEs across the country. With us today to have this conversation, we have Wonuola Okoye. She's a startup and business coach. Wonu, could you say a quick hello?
Hello, hi, thank you for inviting me. Thanks for having everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Wonu. Also on the call, we have Bankole Williams. He is a management consultant. Hello, Bankole, could you say a quick hi to our audience?
Hi, Toju. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Super. And last but not least, we have Steve Harris. He is a management consultant as well. Hello, Steve. Could you say a quick hello to our audience?
Hi, everyone. Super stoked to be here. Can't wait to get started.
Beautiful. Now, before we get into the conversations for today, I have with us our VP of products at Mastercard, and she's going to be telling us why Mastercard has put this event together. Over to you, Carrie.
Thank you, Toju, and thank you everyone for joining us on this exciting masterclass. And thank you to our panelists, and I'm hoping that we have a very exciting conversation. The unexpected events brought about as a result of COVID-19 have had a huge impact on SMEs, some positive and unfortunately some negative. However, even in these unpredictable times, there is great opportunity and responsibility for corporates like Mastercard to support SMEs so that they have the necessary skills to weather any storm. Now at Mastercard, we are committed to leveraging our network, insights, technology, and partnerships to help inform and enable small businesses to sustain themselves throughout these times of crises. I'm actually very excited about today's webinar and the experts that we have enlisted to impart the critical skills that entrepreneurs need to grow and scale their business. At Mastercard, we believe in the importance of supporting SMEs. And this is because small businesses such as yours play a critical role in eradicating poverty and contributing greatly to the economy. The World Bank estimates that SMEs are responsible for 77% of all jobs in Africa and as much as half of the GDP in some countries. So any impact on SMEs tend to have a ripple effect on everyone, including government and major businesses. But we know that SMEs are facing several challenges, some of which include access to credit, the high use of cash, and many restrictions such as infrastructure limitations, power supply interruptions, and even government policies. And COVID-19 hasn't exactly made lives any easier for SMEs and to keep them afloat. So to survive and excel in these times, you need to make the right business decisions to keep yourself informed and empowered. And to remain relevant in today's market, it is important to have access to the right data, analytics, insights to help navigate these uncertain climates. Now, Mastercard is committed to empowering small businesses through our resilient network, the insights and data that we sit on, our technology and our products and services, even our support. Including our recent pledge of over $250 million to support SMEs during this pandemic. Now, by joining forces with different stakeholders like government, customers, and SME associations, we believe that our collective work will make the world a better place for our communities and societies. Last week, we announced a partnership with two leading fintechs in Nigeria, Innovectives and NetPlus, to enable small businesses join the digital economy. So far, over 1 million small businesses have been empowered to digitize their business in response to the changing realities. And also leveraging our global payments capabilities, our local innovations from our labs for financial inclusion in Nairobi, and partnership with mobile network operators, fintechs, banks, government. Mastercard has, over the last 2 years, introduced numerous solutions which are transforming the digital payments ecosystem across Sub-Saharan Africa, built on the philosophy of offering low-cost payment acceptance solutions for SMEs to better reach and serve their consumers in both urban and rural areas. And an example is the Mastercard QR. Now, this is an innovative, interoperable, secure, and easy digital payment solution, which was designed to take advantage of the mobile shift to non-cash payments, and offer a solution with the high proportions of micro merchants who are unable to accept electronic payments due to infrastructure and deployment costs can now enter the digital. And what QR ideal and very interesting is that it's light touch implementation for both your acquiring bank and obviously for the SMEs. The low cost infrastructure requirements, unlike the the initial cost outlay for a POS terminal, and the intuitive user experience. Now, with our QR, payment initiation is not dependent on a buyer having a smartphone or a POS network connectivity, which has been some of the challenges that we face in Nigeria, because the consumers can now scan to pay or push payment to your merchant via USSD. Another solution, very relevant in light of the current COVID-19 and the need for small merchants to create their own is a simplified solution, which makes it easier than ever for you to create your own web store without any technical skills or additional costs of outsourcing to a website designer. Now, our simplified solution allows you to activate your online shop and be back to business with a combination of e-shop builder tools and payment gateway solutions. Our inbuilt e-invoice will help you go digital and get paid securely through email via electronic invoicing with your own logo and colors. And you can also create branded checkout experiences for a single product and sell directly through social media. With recurring payments built on Simplify, you can securely store customer card information for ongoing billing and set up automatic payments with flexible billing choices. And this helps where you also have staggered payment commitments from your consumers or your customers, which account-to-account transfers, unfortunately, is unable to solve for. So Simplify is really easy and powerful to use, and it can help you reach new markets and acquire new customers and creating a sophisticated way of digital acceptance. Earlier this year, we announced that we will connect 50 million small businesses to the digital economy globally. And this is a crucial part of our global goal to financially include 1 billion people by 2025, ensuring inclusive growth that can change community for better. So this masterclass is very important in educating SMEs on what's possible and what exists to ensure their sustainability. So if you're a small business owner, I really hope that the session will inspire you to take the necessary action and give your businesses the boost that it needs. Thank you so much for dialing in, and I hope that we have an engaging, interactive session. Toju, over to you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Very insightful thoughts there. So we're going to jump right into the session for today. A few housekeeping rules. Engage with us at Mastercard Mia on Twitter. We are live, we are tweeting, send us a tweet if you have questions. And also, please remember to use our hashtag, Mastercard SME Masterclass. That's the hashtag for today. And our first speaker, we're just going to go right into it. And our first speaker for today is Mr. Bankole Williams. He's going to be speaking about business continuity. Bankole, I'm just going to let you go at it because I know that you're ready to go. Over to you.
Yeah, hi, Toju. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? So super stoked and excited to be here. I see some of y'all already in the comment section, right? So glad to be here. Thank you, Mastercard, for doing this. I do believe that businesses, SMEs out there really, really need more interventions like this. Guys, you're welcome to my masterclass with Mastercard. I see all of you in the comments. Thank you very much for the appreciation and all the love, right? So today we'll be talking about business continuity, right? So let me just jump right into it, right? What is business continuity? Business continuity is the advanced planning and preparation undertaking to ensure a business will have the capacity to handle its critical operations during and after a crisis or emergency. So business continuity is the ability to continue delivering products and services at an acceptable level after a disruption, right? So business continuity basically is your protection in a time of disruption, right? Your ability to ensure that you have certain things in place that ensure that your business is protected in a time of a disruption. It's like, you know, looking at the clouds and you see the clouds gather and then you refuse to go out with an umbrella, right? That is foolishness. You need to be wise to ensure that you have the necessary protection when you see the kinds of times that we find ourselves in, right? So anytime there's a disruption, it is important to note that businesses need to change. Businesses need to adjust, right? I think one definition of insanity is doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result. How much more in a crisis? In a crisis situation, businesses need to understand that they need to embrace change for them to experience some measures of continuity, right? I love this particular quote by Charles Darwin. He said, "It is not the strongest of species that survives. It is not the most intelligent. It is the most adaptable to change," right? So what will determine whether a business will survive in the times that we find ourselves is their adaptability, their ability to make the necessary adjustments as quickly as possible to ensure that they experience the necessary progression they want to see in a time of crisis, So imagine that, you know, there was a pilot and he was flying his plane and then he got into a storm. It would be foolish for the pilot to expect that the weather should change. What the pilot needs to do is to make the necessary adjustments in his flying protocol to ensure that he can pass through the storm. What I find is most businesses, or some businesses, I dare say, are not making the necessary adjustments in the midst of a crisis. So it is important to understand that when you are in a storm, there are certain changes that are necessary. So we're going to talk about some of those changes, and those changes are things that you need to ensure are in place, right, within the shortest possible time. So crisis calls for change, and the change happens, it should happen within the shortest possible time. So in the course of this particular masterclass, I am going to be talking about 5 critical things that you need to do to ensure that you are well protected in a time of crisis. 5 changes you need to make, 5 strategies you need to adopt to ensure that you remain relevant and you survive in a time of crisis, right? The first strategy is that you need to be calm. One of the things that I find out is that when there is a threat in the environment, people tend to fret. I need to take that again. I said, when there's a threat in the environment, I find out that people tend to fret. But when you fret, you are not operating at your best. So what generally would happen is that you will not create the right kinds of ideas that would lead to the continuity that your business needs. So if you go by default, you most likely will fall in error. And let me prove it. So guys, if you all can see my slides, I would love you to please tell me the words that you see on the screen, right? Quickly, I want to see your responses. So I'm looking out for your comments. I see all your amazing feedback and all the amazing things you guys are saying. Thank you very much. Ogundikwe says science. Omokaro says science. Everybody, the chats are buzzing. Everybody is convinced that the word on the screen is science. You guys are super intelligent people because the word is not science. I bet some of you are shocked right now. I'm sure you thought that it was science, but in reality, it is not science. Some people are really disappointed. Samuel, I see you. I empathize with you. Now, what does this tell you? It tells you that a lot of us hastily jump into conclusions, especially when there is a situation, when there is a crisis. And if you hastily, somebody says, what? If you hastily jump into conclusions, you may not be getting the right interpretation of the situation because you are not looking at the picture in its entirety. So what lesson am I trying to draw out of this? Right? Your spontaneous reaction is often not a true reflection of the full picture of the situation. Somebody needs to pin this particular quote here. I said your spontaneous reaction is often not a true reflection of the full picture of the situation. Could it be that we have hastily drawn finality to the situation? Could it be that we have gotten the wrong interpretation out of this crisis? Could it be that some business people have hastily jumped into conclusions as to their narration or their narrative of what we are currently experiencing in the world? Because there is a totally different perspective. And I'm telling you that if you are calm, you can get to see the positives or the opportunities that exist in the midst of crisis. But if you go by the default emotion and fret in the midst of a threat, you most likely will be drawing out the wrong conclusion, right? So guys, the first strategy, right, is a switch, a change in your protocol for your emotions. You need to be calm. I do hope somebody's learning something. You need to be calm. So that's the first thing. First thing is you need to be calm. Imagine with me that we were all on board this plane, right? Boeing 737 or something, right? And then, the plane is on the ground and the pilot makes his announcement. And then he announces that as soon as we take off, we'll get into a storm and that we should all pray and ask God to help us wade through this storm. And as you are listening to this guy, you can hear from his tone of voice that he's fretting. Guys, please, I want to see your responses. Will you remain on this plane or will you come down? Right? Would you come off the plane or would you remain there? You notice from his tonality that he's fretting and he's saying, we should trust God that we'll get to our destination. Somebody says you are light straight. Another person says, Jackpa. Interesting comment. So you'll come off the plane. Why? Because he obviously is not calm. He's not displaying a calm disposition. Now, what does this tell you? Some of us business people, we fail to realize that our customers are listening to our current disposition, right? Our employees are paying attention to our disposition and they are making significant business decisions based on our disposition. So guys, it is important that regardless of the situation that you find yourself in, you adopt a new strategy. And first of all, you remain calm. Thank you, Bunipe. I see you. I see that you like the illustration. Moving on, right? So what you need to do in a crisis is a situation for which we have no control. So in a crisis, what you need to do is to vigorously focus on what is within your control. There are certain things that are outside our control. The solution to the current crisis is outside our control, except you are a scientist, right? We business people, We don't know how to fix, COVID-19. It's outside our control. So never give emotions and energy to things that are outside your control. Focus vigorously on the things that are within your control. What are some of the things within your control? Your response to the situation, to this crisis, is within your control. So it's important to notice that where your focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, results show. So if your focus is on negative information, negative news, your energy will go in that direction, and it will ultimately affect, the results in your business, right? So please recognize that nobody can live or exist beyond the limits of their persuasion. So no business can exist beyond the persuasion of the business owner. So as a business owner, you need to be persuaded that there are opportunities. There's definitely a way out of this crisis for your business to thrive. So that's the first principle. The first principle is that you need to be calm. Number two is that you need to calculate. Guys, this is so critical because what you do not measure, you cannot manage. I'll take that again. What you do not measure, you cannot manage. The first step to business management is business measurement, meaning that you measure and you calculate. What are you calculating? You're calculating the risks that are involved with this crisis, right? So you have to calculate some of the risks. See, let me tell you something very interesting. The fundamental difference between a foolish businessman and a wise businessman is that the wise businessman, he anticipates, he calculates the risks and prepares for the worst case scenario, not as a desirable outcome, but as a possibility so he can mitigate against it. I'll take that again. I said a wise businessman, he anticipates and then he calculates the risks and prepares for the worst case scenario, not as a desirable outcome. So it's not what he wants, but as a possibility so that he can mitigate against it. The foolish businessman hopes that things will work out fine and does not prepare for eventualities. Fundamental, critical difference between a wise and a foolish businessman. So what do you calculate, right? Remember the analogy. If you see the clouds gather, you go out with an umbrella, right? You have to begin to calculate some of the risks that are involved, with the crisis that you find yourself in, right? So you need to calculate. So what does this mean? Business owners need to be brutally honest with themselves. They need to ask the most uncomfortable what if questions. I'll take that again. Business owners need to ask the most uncomfortable what if questions. You need to confront the situation. That is the only way you can conquer, right? So what are some of the what if questions that we need to begin to confront or we need to begin to ask in the midst of a crisis? One of them, for instance, is what if remote working becomes the new order of the day? What if remote working becomes the new status quo, right? I know you hope that that is not the case, but what if it is the case? What processes have you put in place in your business to ensure that you can still render your services to your clients? You need to begin to think that way. Another what if question, what if there is supply chain interruption? During the lockdown, a lot of businesses, lacked the supplies of raw materials to ensure that there was continued production. What if there is, God forbid it, a second wave of this crisis? What processes would you put in place to ensure that there is consistent supply of raw materials to ensure that you can deliver on the expectations of your customers in the midst of a crisis, right? What if there is no physical interaction? What if social distancing becomes the new order of the day? What if your customers cannot come to your physical location, to transact business? What are some of the things that you put in place to mitigate against this risk, right? What if there are delays, in your sales? It's a possibility. Some sales have dropped, significantly in this time. What are you going to do to ensure that you can drive sales? Loss in sales can lead to a reduction in cash flow. What are you going to do to ensure that you have your cash reserves, right? What are you going to do to ensure you conserve cash? Because cash is the lifeblood of any business that is out there. What if there is an increase in cost of production or cost of your raw materials? Are you going to pass on the cost to your end user or to your customers? Are you going to ensure that your business becomes a lot more efficient? These are some of the what if questions that we need to ask. You need to calculate the risks, right? There are also questions like, what are the key success indicators that are necessary for your business to thrive? Some of the questions you need to ask are, what are the minimum number of staff that you need for your business to succeed? What are the key job functions for your business to survive? I remember, a CEO called me during the pandemic and he said to me, he said, Bankole, I have 1,000 staff on my payroll. But guess what? During the crisis, only 77 people were working. And we were meeting 70% of our sales targets. 77 out of 1,000 people. He said to me that, his overhead is significantly high. Now he has recognized the key job functions that are necessary for the business to survive. These are some of the real questions business people need to begin to ask, right? What equipments are necessary and how can I have access to this equipment to ensure that there is continuity in my business? What processes do I have to have? What processes can I do without? Because more than ever before, turnaround time is important. Customers want answers, they want products and services now. So there are some processes that are not necessary, you can do without them. These are some of the important things that we need to calculate to ensure that we can mitigate against certain risks and ensure that there is business continuity in a season of crisis. The third point here, the third strategy you need to adopt is to communicate, right? Guys, do you know that this season, or this is the season to make the greatest impact and build the strongest loyalty with your customers? Do you know that? How many of you business people recognize that? That this is the season to make the greatest impact, right? And build the strongest loyalty with your customers, right? Do you know that your impact is felt the strongest when your customers are at their lowest points? Let me take that again. I said your impact is felt the strongest when your customers are at their lowest. What is the essence of a torch under the sun? Can you imagine somebody, going outside under the sun with a torchlight? It's irrelevant. So you are relevant in darkness, and the world is going through a dark season. This is the period to build the strongest loyalty with your customers. This is the moment when you can make the greatest impact that can lead to the greatest loyalty with your customers, right? So it is important that we communicate in these times, right? The truth is the default human instinct is self-preservation, right? So when there's a crisis, we all run for cover, we all run for safety. But the truth is nobody should look over their shoulders in perpetuity, right? Nobody should be in safety mode in perpetuity. So you need to communicate with your customers. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And you're not communicating because you just want business. You are communicating to show care. So have you called your customers to find out how they are faring and find out how their businesses are being affected by the crisis? So whilst I know you are focused on your own issues, but can you shift the focus to the issues of your stakeholders and your customers? And that will be an opportunity to make the greatest impression on them. During the crisis, I remember calling, all my different clients and, just to communicate and empathize and connect with them. And I remember that one of my clients told me, in one of those sessions, she said to me, Bankole, my greatest frustration now is how to measure the productivity of my staff. They are working from home. How do I know that they are effective? In that conversation, she literally gave me the solution to my own challenges. Because from that conversation, I knew the peculiar adjustments that I needed to make. I knew the products that I needed to create. I knew the products that I needed to create in order to become relevant to my clients. So the point you need to get here is that with COVID-19, right, your customer needs, their preferences, their appetite is changing. And you will never know unless you communicate, right? Customer needs, their preferences, their appetites, they're all changing. You wouldn't know their new appetites if you don't communicate, right? So the truth is, your next innovative idea can be gotten from the recent complaints of your customers. So your job is to connect, to communicate with them, ask them about their challenges, and from that communication, your next innovation will be birthed. I hope somebody's learning something big from what it is that I'm sharing today. I see all of your comments, right? Products out of their complaints, very, very critical. Shalani, I see what you say, right? So you want to connect and communicate with your customers. You know, before now, we used to say out of sight is out of mind. Guess what? With COVID-19 and social distancing, we are not in people's faces anymore. So some people, some businesses have been deleted from their customers' minds and they don't even recognize it. So it is important to communicate to ensure you make a connection. The fourth point here, number 4, is that you need to create. You need to create, right? You need to create. One of the most difficult things for business owners to accept is the reality that the way they have been operating for years may have gone obsolete. What I see a lot of times is that most business people are emotionally connected to their product offerings and their products and their services. The truth is, you may have been using that product for 10 years and it may have generated a certain stream of income, but it is likely that some of our offerings have gone obsolete with the adjustment that is happening in the world, and you need to embrace it. So whilst it goes obsolete, your job is to ensure that you create. Popular phrase we always say, when life gives you lemons, you make what? Lemonade. Where are all our lemonade makers, please? Where are they? Where are those people who used to make these quotes? All of a sudden, we can't find them anymore. The point here is crisis does not come to destroy you. Crisis comes to ignite creativity. Boma says we are here. Crisis does not just come to destroy you. Crisis comes to ignite your creativity. Your job is to begin to think of new, innovative ideas that can lead to the creation of products that will be relevant in these times, right? I remember during the lockdown, you know, one wealthy billionaire, Mark Cuban, I read a post where he said, since you have holes in your schedule now, it is time to experiment with new ideas, new products, and find out which one will stick. So this is a season to begin to test new ideas and find out which one sticks. Talking about new ideas in the pandemic, I will never forget an idea that I saw these two gentlemen on the screen create during the lockdown. During the lockdown, there were no concerts, no physical gatherings and stuff like that. These guys decided to start their own online concert called Versus, right? They started this, and it started small. It started in April, right? And interestingly, out of a lockdown, these guys have created a multi-billion-dollar business called Versus, where they will get one artist against another artist, right, on Instagram Live. I will never forget watching the Versus between Brandy and Monica. 1.2 million people were live on Instagram. I said, crisis does not come to destroy you. Crisis comes to ignite your potential for creativity. 1.2 million people watching live, right? They have 3.8 million followers today. That business started from a problem, started from a crisis, right? It reminds me of the situation that happened in Dubai. Some of you know this story, right? What was the crisis? They found out that their oil reserves would have totally depleted. Problem. And then they decided that they were going to calculate what they had. So they calculated. They found out that they had 3 things: sand, sun, and sea. And with these 3 things, they asked themselves, what can we create? And they decided that they were going to create the #1 tourist center in the world. And the revolution in Dubai started from this problem, this crisis situation. Today, Dubai is making crazy amounts of money from tourism, and it all began from the crisis situation, right? With the presence of just sand, sun, and sea. Look at what it looked like back in the day. Same location, look at what it looks like now. So the truth is there is a potential for creativity. So there's the potential to create new ideas and new products in the middle of the crisis. And the final point, even as I begin to round up, is businesses need to collaborate. Let me ask you a question. If you live in a block with 6 flats and you don't communicate with your neighbors, block with 6 flats, and God forbid it, your house catches fire, will you communicate with your neighbors on that day? Or in fact, will they even communicate with you? Please let me know. If you live in a block with 6 flats and your own flat, God forbid it, catches fire, will there be communication between neighbors on that day? Right? Somebody says over communicate. By force, by fire, we'll communicate. And if you don't communicate, there's the risk of their own flat getting burnt. So what is the point here? We all have a common enemy, guys, right? We all have a common enemy. And crisis should breed unity, as we have a common enemy. So this is not just the period to isolate. This is the period to collaborate. Guys, I remember one time I came out of my office and this note was on my car, right? And it was my staff that brought the note to me. And the note reads, "I am sorry about your car, call me." So immediately I thought to myself, let me go and check if there is any scratch on my car. And I did a 360 just to double check, and there was no scratch. So I was wondering, why is this note on my car? I opened the note, guys, and guess what I saw? I saw an innovative collaboration between Price Point, a discount store in Ilupeju, and the Podium, right? So Price Point was looking for a location on the island. Podium had a location and needed people to use it. And they came up with a collaboration. Beautiful idea in a pandemic. And I'm saying that there are those kinds of ideas that we need to birth whilst we go through a crisis. In Lagos, where I live, there is this interesting delicacy that is served in certain suburbs. Some of you know what I'm talking about. That delicacy is called Ewa Agoin. How many of you are participants of this delicacy? Please say aye in the comment section. Now, if somebody who is selling Ewa Agoin, I see all of you, I see you guys. If somebody who sells Ewa Agoin decides to collaborate with somebody who sells bread, please, can you tell me, will these people make money? Jerry, I see you. Bolaji, I see you. Do you think these people will sell? Will they sell? If they decide to walk together across streets in Lagos, do you think that they will sell out? Absolutely, 100%. A whole lot of money. I see what you guys are saying. Oversell, in fact, sold out, collaboration. Amazing. So what am I trying to get at, guys? I'm trying to help you see that there is a collaboration that works. Find the partnership that works. Seek collaboration that can give you leverage. Seek collaboration that can give you leverage in these times. I spoke earlier on about Versus and how Timberland and Swiss Beats collaborated to form Versus. And these guys now decided to further collaborate with a streaming platform because they understood that they were getting quite a bit of people watching it and they wanted to make it convenient. So Versus is streamed live in partnership with Apple Music collaboration. These guys also collaborate with artists who perform on Versus and go against themselves on that day. Guys, from this partnership with Apple Music, I watched Monica and Brandy's live stream. Guys, in 3 days, out of this collaboration with Apple Music, there were over 21 million streams. These are people whose so to speak, careers seem to have been behind them. But from this incredible collaboration, see how much money these guys are making. My final point, even as I close, is who is the agege bread to your ewa going? Every business person needs to think about that. Who is that person whose service is complementary to yours and can provide leverage for you in a time of crisis? Guys, do not forget these 5 strategies which I've shared with you. Number 1, be calm. Number 2, calculate. Number 3, communicate. Number 4, create. And number 5, find the right people to collaborate with. And I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you indeed can experience business continuity in tough times. Thank you very much. God bless you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Bankole. That was really insightful. I call them the 5 C's. We have be calm, we have calculate, we have communicate, we have create, and we have collaborate. That is amazing. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to go into the questions now. Like I mentioned earlier, please drop your questions in the Q&A box if you have any questions, and Bankole would respond to them. But I do have a number of questions that have come through already. Mr. Ben Memedu asked, how do you communicate so as not to, he was asking for some tips with regards to communicating, because he is concerned that sometimes when you reach out to people, they begin to see you as, in his words, a nuisance. So how do you keep it 100 without belaboring your communication? I'll let you answer.
I think that that's such a beautiful question. Right.
Yes.
I believe that it's important to pay attention to people's needs, interests, and concerns. 3 critical things that business people need to pay attention to for their customers. What are their needs in these times? What are some of the things they're interested in? And what are some of their concerns? And make a connection on the basis of these 3 things that I'm talking about. What I find out a lot of times is that people communicate and they don't connect. And what helps you connect is the fact that you are able to provide value to the person in an area of need, or you're able to connect in a subject or something that they are interested in, or you're able to empathize with their situation. So every business person has got to be able to look at their customers and think about the things that are important to them, and on that basis, make a strong connection.
That's a really strong response. I hope Ben got that one. We don't have a lot of time for questions, so I'm just going to run through them. The next question is, and this person wants to know, what kind of business can a laundry collaborate with, like a laundry house? Because you said collaboration, so the person's looking for, his or her name is Funa Ozier, wants to know what kind of collaborations should this person be looking at?
Well, I think a collaboration will be with a logistics outfit, or it could even be a collaboration with an estate, for instance, because people are looking for convenience in these times, right? Take note, we don't want to go anywhere. We'd rather you come to us. So yes. Can you make doing my laundries easy by coming to me, by making it easy, by starting a pickup service, for instance, or by partnering with an estate association, and then they get some kind of discounts because there is that connection or collaboration that you have with the association in an estate, such that people can get to do their laundry for a discount, right? So that's an example. These are some examples of possible collaborations that a laundry service can go into.
Did you get that? I you know, until you said it was so obvious when you said it, because when I read the question, I was like, I'm curious to know what he would say here. But as soon as you said it, it was very obvious. So Funan, there you go. Another question, and I like this question because we're talking about business continuity. Peter has asked, how do you ensure successful succession in a business?
Very beautiful question. And it's interesting that you cannot succeed as a business until you have a successful successor. Now, what does this mean? It means that you need to pour yourself into your people, right? You need to ensure that there is more than one person that can perform specific job functions in the organization. So for succession, you need to ensure that there are things like rotation within the business, such that more than one person can perform a particular function, because sometimes some people are stuck at home and they can't get stuff done, right? What are you going to do? The business needs to succeed. Training is also very critical. Empowering your people, equipping them with knowledge and skill so that they feel like a part of the organization, the part of the institution, sharing your vision in a compelling way such that people catch fire, as a result of the vision, and they want to buy into the future of the organization. I think that these are very, very critical if you want your business to outlive you. Most businesses tend to just be connected with their founders and their founders alone. But owners of businesses should think about how they can transfer some level of power and influence, to some other members of the business so that there can be continuity in their absence.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. So I'll take the one, and don't be upset, viewers and listeners. We will take the rest of the questions at the end of the whole session. So bear with us because we're working with time. So I have one question from Abimbola Sandra. Is it proper to switch business at any point in time, especially when you see the business is not working out as desired?
Well, I think that there are a number of questions to ask before you make such a decision. You don't just leave a business on a whim, right? You need to be able to find out whether your business is relevant for the time that you find yourself in. Has your business become obsolete with the new world that we find ourselves, right? If it has become obsolete, and obviously you only know that by carrying out surveys, finding out from your customers if they are interested in your product offerings or services in that time, right? So it's not something you just hastily do because you feel like it's not working. You want to find the root cause of the problem. Maybe it is not just relevant for that particular environment. Maybe you need to relocate. I'll give you an example. There's a smoothie bar that used to be beside my office in Lekki Phase 1. And one day I went there and noticed that these guys are shut down. And a couple of months later, I was going to the gym. And then as I was going up the stairs, I noticed that this same smoothie joint had migrated to a kiosk underneath the staircase of this gym, from a store on Fola Oshibo to a kiosk underneath the staircase. So I was curious, why would they come here, right? And I decided to engage the owner, and I found out he was making stupid money just by that adjustment, by that relocation. So it wasn't that the business was not good, it was that the business was not located in the right position. So by putting it close to a gym, people don't want to take sodas, they want to take healthy drinks, he partnered, collaborated with these guys, and now he was making significant sales. So what you want to do is to, do your right research to find out what the critical issues are, and then make adjustments based on whatever information that you get out of it.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed the session, but the Q&A, fire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Direction, everything. I'm sure everyone listening has gotten quite a bit. Like I mentioned earlier, please don't be worried or concerned if we haven't taken your questions right now. We will have an opportunity to take a few questions at the end of the session. Moving on to the next session, we have Mr. Steve Harris. He's going to be talking about business immunity and protecting and scaling your business against the impact of COVID-19. Without much ado, I hand over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. What an amazing session by Bankole. And I must quickly add that, the collaboration between Mastercard, Steve Harris, Bankole Williams, and Wanu is a match made in Ewagoing and Agege bread. So we just want you guys to know that. All right, so my name is Steve Harris, and today I'm going to be talking about business immunity. So my brother talked about business continuity, and I'm talking about business immunity. I'm sure Warner is probably going to have to rhyme hers in the same way, shape, or form. All right, so let's get into this, shall we? So I want to say welcome to everyone for being here. We totally appreciate you. We are super stoked, and we can't wait to get started. And Banky has just raised the bar. I hope you're taking a lot of notes. All right, so like I said, I'm talking about business immunity. What is business immunity all about? Business immunity is about bulletproofing your business. It is about quarantining your business. It is about isolating your business from the external things that are happening in our environment. As you know, the world has literally gone upside down. But if your business is well positioned, this time for you would have been a right side up kind of thing. But for many entrepreneurs, their businesses have gone upside down. A lot of us are realizing that COVID has affected our money, it's affected our resources, and most of us were never really positioned for what happened. So let me give you an example. We recognize that today many businesses are vulnerable. Many businesses are struggling. A lot of businesses perhaps have gone out of, so to speak, they've gone out of business. And one of the things that I want you to understand is what's going on with the economy, the coronavirus. I always like to think about it like a wave. So if you've ever watched surfers, they tend to swim towards the wave. They don't swim away from the waves, they swim towards the waves. Now, one of the beautiful things that I notice that surfers do is that as they're swimming towards the waves, they are effectively positioned because they have the right tools, right? And what Mastercard is doing is to engage you with the right tools. They brought experts. They're showing you things that will benefit your business. Now, in this case, the surfer's tool is his surfboard. That ordinary, seemingly simple piece of wood, right, is able to position the surfer to do all the work. Now, what do I mean? You may not necessarily see the things that will turn your business around may not necessarily be mind-boggling. They may be the simple pieces of wood around you. Bankole has talked about the 5 C's, right? So the surfer has his surfboard and he swims towards the tide. Now, all the surfer has to do is to adapt to the direction of the wave. All he does is he steers himself towards the direction of the wave, and the wave does all the work. On the other hand, the person who is swimming and paddling and exerting effort will not cover as much ground as the surfer. Why? Because the surfer is leveraging on the direction, on the speed, on the momentum of the waves. Now, in order to have effective business immunity, one of your key milestones is you must be able to adapt. You know, it's quite interesting that Banky and I, a lot of our conversations, and I know that one of those conversations also are just piggybacking one off the other. So Bankole talked about being able to adapt. And just like the chameleon, you must be able to adapt. And there was something that Banky said that I also want to corroborate. He said, a lot of us as entrepreneurs are too emotionally connected to our ideas, but we are not resolute about the destination. So let me put it this way. If you are driving to the airport because you had a flight to catch, and that flight, at the end of that flight, you would get a contract worth maybe $1 million or perhaps even more. And you were driving your car on the 3rd Mainland Bridge, which by the way is undergoing some sort of repair. And somewhere along the line, just at the middle of the bridge, your car broke down. Would you say to yourself, oh, my car, I will never leave you nor forsake you. No, I will not go. No, what you will do, you will ditch the car in a hurry. Why? Because the destination is much more significant than your transportation. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? If you understand, if you're with me so far, drop a yes, all right? So you can't be so emotionally connected to your idea that you are not resolute about the destination. So if you are an entrepreneur, your job is to make profit. If this vehicle is not going to get you there, and you have done all things necessary with your knowledge, with your skill, with coaching, with mentorship, with training, such as this, and you haven't gotten to your destination, sweetheart, calm down. Japa, take a bike. Why? Because your destination is much more valuable than your transportation. Let me move on. So we're going to keep it 100. Like Toju said, we're keeping it 100. So and like Banky said, we're going to be talking about some really, really tough questions. All right. So Banky has given you the 5 C's. Me, I don't have my own. I'm not in alphabetical order. So you just bear with me as we go along. So number 1, this is the first thing you need to recognize. In order to have business immunity, you must realize that you cannot grow beyond your money ceiling. I'm going to say this again. You cannot grow beyond your money ceiling. And thankfully, we have partners like Mastercard whose heads are correct. They understand this money game very well. So you can't grow beyond your money ceiling. So why is this important? You've got to recognize that all of us who are watching this have an unconscious financial ceiling. See, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but I'm sure my brother and my sister here can corroborate this, that there was a point in time where to make your first 100K in business was a prayer point. 100K was a prayer point. Then you did 100K, and then you did then 500K became the prayer point. Then 1 million became the prayer point. In some cases, 100 million, a billion is now a prayer point. My question is, what is your prayer point? Please drop your prayer points. Maybe the God of all of us at Mastercard will answer your prayer, right? But here's the thing. All of us have an unconscious financial ceiling, and I want to show you what yours is. Are you ready? Let's go. So first off, I want to ask you a question. You don't have to write it down. Your anonymity is fine, but just think about it for yourself. How much have you earned since the beginning of this crisis? Have you made more money or have you made less money? You know, some people in this COVID crisis, while some people are saying there's a casting down, some of us are saying there's a lifting up. Like, Lord God, if it wasn't because people are dying, can this COVID continue for just a while? Because we just kind of like where it's going. Many businesses are profiting because they're positioned correctly. I see your comments. All right, let's go. Second thing, if this crisis was to extend indefinitely, how long would your business last? And meaning you maintaining your lifestyle, how long will you survive before you beg, borrow, or steal? Many businesses are already going under, but let's ask some fundamental questions. So let's go. All right. Now, imagine with me, right? I want to test your money mentality. Imagine with me, how much money would you like to earn in a month? Just write it down in the comments. How much would you like to earn in a month? I want to know. Drop a comment. All right. Drop a comment. Let's see. How much would you like to earn in a month? All right. Next part. Are you ready? Okay. Now, I want you to double it. Double it or double it. All right. If you need a calculator, get one. All right. Now, you've doubled it, right? Next, here we go. Now, I want you to double it again. So people are like, God, how can these things be? Najaz, right? Hold on, bear with me, stay with me. All right. Now, I want you to be honest. What emotion did you feel when you doubled that amount of money? Did you say, ha, oh boy, how will I, will I go and rob, even if I rob a bank, I will not get this kind of money. Do you get? What emotion did you feel, right? At what point did you start to feel uncomfortable? How much did you write, right, to now feel uncomfortable? For many of us, if you want to keep it 100, it was the first amount of money, the first amount that you said you wanted to earn in a month, that you now said, bros, now, calm down, calm down, calm down. How are you going to do it, right? At what point did you start feeling uncomfortable? That place you felt uncomfortable, my friend, is your money ceiling. Which means, and this is just a little quick tip, understanding your subconscious mind, you need to recognize that your subconscious mind is designed to keep you safe and keep you the same. I'm going to say that again. Your subconscious mind tries to keep you safe, and then it also tries to keep you the same. So let me give you this metaphor. So for example, in the Western world, they have tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and all those things. Here, we only have bad leadership, so thank God for that. But anyway, moving on, all right? Moving on. So, right, Now, when there is an earthquake in the Western world, they often register it, they measure the earthquake on something called a Richter scale. Now, the Richter scale ranks the severity of the earthquake between 1 and 10. The higher the number, the more severe the earthquake, right? So you would say that, oh, in California, there was an earthquake and it registered 8.3 on the Richter scale, which meant it was massive. Now, subconsciously, right, your subconscious mind also measures your emotions on a Richter scale. So for example, if you wrote, let me just say 3 million naira, and your subconscious and your heart did you begin, or your mind did you now, or you had any sort of negative emotion, your subconscious mind measures it on the Richter scale. And because the job of your subconscious is to keep you safe and the same, your subconscious mind says, warning, 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 Oreolua is feeling uncomfortable with this money. This 3 million she just mentioned, we detected a negative experience. We must protect Oreolua from having this money. Therefore, we must resist and reject every opportunity to get this money because Oreolua is threatened by this money. See, plenty money needs to fall on you. That is your money ceiling. Time does not permit, but we will go a little bit deeper. All right. So I want you to complete this sentence. I would like to make more money, but I'd like to make more money, but now whatever you said but to, whatever your but is, whatever your but is your financial limiting belief. So somebody will say, I don't have connections. I don't have partners. Nobody will help me. Nigeria is hard. They are thieves. I'm not in Big Brother. Whatever your answer is your financial limiting belief. All right, moving on. Number 2, in this dispensation of disruption, you can no longer wait for your customers to come to you. Banky has said that before. Now you have to go to them. Hello, you can't wait for your customers to come to you. Now you have to go to them. Now, before the pandemic, you all could sit on your high horses. You could just do whatever. And if the customer was busy, acting a little bit shady, you'd be like, I beg, go and come back. But now you recognize that your customers have multiple options. I mean, all you need to do is check your Instagram feed by 7 p.m. to watch the number of people who are going live. They didn't go live before Corona. Now they're going live. Now everybody's dancing, they're shaking their hair, they're doing all sorts of things to be able to do sales. You can't wait for your customers to come to you, right? You've got to be able to go to them. And you need to recognize, guys, that attention creates attraction. I'm gonna say that again. Attention creates attraction. Let me give you a very practical way to do this, okay? Free of charge, all right? Because you're here, right? So let's say you sell dresses, right? Let's say you sell dresses. Now before, and I'm going to give you a very practical example of one of the things that I did in my business that made me earn, let me just simply say, about 5 figures in dollars. I'm not going to tell you how much it was, and I wasn't up to $100,000, but during this crisis, I made about 5 figures in dollars. And one significant tweak I made was I started doing what you call DM marketing. You go into people's DMs and you begin to market with them. But let me give you an example so it doesn't sound very shady or tacky. So for example, I would post content on Instagram where I'm most active. And I realized that I needed to be able to get the kind of, in order to attract the fish or the customers I needed to be able to put out the right kind of bait, okay? So in order to get the fish you want to get, you need to be able to put out the kind of bait. So what I started doing, and I've been doing this for a long time, was I started putting more contents that could help entrepreneurs during this season, right? So I would put out some content on Instagram and people would like it and they would comment and they would do all those things. Now, before the pandemic, I would just put the content out there and people would get blessed. And I didn't care. I mean, people got blessed. If people needed my services, I really didn't mind. If they didn't care, if they didn't, I didn't care. But now I recognize that, hold on, the fish are coming up from the water. They're coming to nibble at the bait, but I'm not bringing them into my net. So before the pandemic, I would just pose and say what beautiful fish they are. Hey, fishy, fishy, fishy. How many likes? I'll get high on likes. Likes don't pay children's school fees. Hello, can I get a witness from someone? Likes and comments do not pay children's school fees. Thank you. One, I see your hand right there. So we would get high and say, oh, what lovely fish. How many likes? What beautiful comments. But now I decided that now that the fish, quote unquote, are coming up to nibble, I need to bring them into my net. So what did I do? Everyone who liked and commented on my post, hello, I will send them a message. Before, I was doing big boy Steve Harris, no biggie now. But this time, everyone who liked and commented, because liking and commenting means that they're interested in what you're sharing with them, right? And so I would send them a DM and I'll say, hi, I hope you're doing great. I hope you're fine. What's going on with your business? Thank you for liking my post. Is there any way I can help you? Now, the usual response that people have in my DM is, oh my God, Steve Harris, I can't believe it. I'm going to faint. That's what I believe they say. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. You know what I mean? Right? And they'll do all that stuff, right? And when they do that, I'm like, calm down, calm down. Yes, it's me, chill. What's going on in your business? And then we would have a conversation and then I would give them a sale. So let me make it practical for you. So let's say you're selling dresses. Now, don't put this dress for sale, 3 sizes, limited edition. People don't care about that. And I'm going to show you practically. So once you put a dress and somebody, people begin to like and comment, you go into their DM and say, oh, thank you for dropping a comment on my post. I'm glad you enjoyed it, right? Is there something you might be interested in? 99.9% of the time, your customer is going to say, no, I was just looking. Then your next line is to say, oh, by the way, let's say it's a girl. Oh, by the way, I checked out your page and girl, you have got a banging body to die for. You look so good, right? Can I just show you, I have a dress that will, probably in your case, I have a dress that will just, bring out your curves. Can I show you? Now, can I show you is a non-threatening thing. You're not asking for a sale. You're just asking for interest. Say, can I show you? The customer says, yes, show me. And then you bring out 3 of your biggest, baddest dresses. And then you put them out there. And then you ask the customer one question. Please like the dress, and in capital letters like. Please like the dress, because now this is happening in the DM. Please like the dress that if you showed up at an event at, all your friends will just die. Please like the dress that if you showed up at an event, all your friends will be like, where did you get this dress from? Now, when the customer, you've now sowed a seed in her mind. She's now at the event. She's now visualizing herself walking in and everybody is looking at her. You've shown her an event. You've shown her value. Then you now say to her, when she now likes it, you now say, great choice, right? I have this dress and your investment, don't say the cost, the investment is only maybe 20,000 Naira. Is this something you'll be interested in? Now at this place, this is the point of retreat, or sorry, it's 50-50. At this place, if you don't manage it well, the customer is going back to the beginning, right? So the customer will say, well, I'm not really interested, right? It's nice, but it's not in my budget. Then you now ask this question. Is 20,000 Naira too expensive to make your friends jealous? Is 20,000 Naira too expensive to make your friends jealous? Now, she has already understood what she stands to lose. She's not buying a dress anymore. She's buying jealousy and envy. She knows if I don't buy this, I am not going to be the cynosure of all eyes. And if she's now still doing somehow, you now say to her, how would you feel if one of your friends walks into an event with this same dress that you know you should have bought? At that point, more times than not, that person is going to cross over the line. You can now decide to give them a discount, you can give them a payment plan, but this is practical. I hope this is making sense. All right, time does not permit, I gotta move on. All right, this is why Mastercard brought us. All right, check it out. And this metaphor that I just shared with you is tied to what I just said. It's not about what you want to sell. It's what the customer wants to buy. The customer doesn't want to buy a dress because he or she is trying to cover up their naked body. No, the customer is trying to buy attention. right? There is no woman who has lovely hair. So I can see Toju, I can see Wanu, they've got beautiful hair, right? Toju and Wanu didn't buy this beautiful hair and walk into an event. If they walk into an event and no one says, Wanu is even preening her hair, you see? Vanity upon vanity. My dear Flaunty Jerry, right? You know, if they walk into an event now, if you walk into an event and nobody notices your hair and says, this your hair is fine, where did you get it from? Wanu and Toju will feel like, it'd be like, say, this hair is fake hair. It's like, this hair is fake, because nobody has noticed this hair. What they are buying is not hair. They are buying attention. So if, for example, you sell hair, you don't sell hair, you sell hair that turns other people's heads. Did you hear what I just said? Do you get what I just said? You don't, but you're not selling hair. You are selling hair that turns other people's heads. So when you put it out on Instagram, people say, this your hair is expensive. You said, no, it's not. I sell hair that turns other people's hair. If you want to buy ordinary horse hair, Brazilian hair, Peruvian hair, or Ijebu Ode hair, go and meet this other person. But if you want hair that will turn other people's heads, then come and meet me. It's not about what you want to sell, it's about what the customer wants to buy. So the point is, what do they want to buy right now? You've got to be able to understand it. I got to move on. All right, so you've got to ask the question, does your product or service make them grow? Does it amplify their status? Does it make them bigger, better? You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't do any of those things, they're not likely to buy. Think about it again. Does your product make them bigger? Does it make them better in a good sense? All right, and does it make them better? All right, moving on. Number 4, don't sell the transportation. Your customers buy the destination. I know it sounds like we're rapping, man. I used to all these motivational speakers aspire to perspire, but you shall remember, Abi. Remember, don't sell the transportation. Customers will buy the destination. Transportation, destination. Remember, it takes a lot of thoughts to do this thing or to make it simple. All right, check it out. Now, a lot of us, like I just said, a lot of us are so focused on selling the transportation. Buy hair, come and buy hair, 16 inches, 21 inches. No. You are selling the transportation. The destination is much more important. Remember my 3rd mainland bridge analogy. You're going to the airport. Sell them the destination. Right? So what is the destination of your service, right? If it's hair, you're selling attention. If it's clothes, you're selling attention. So for example, let's say you're a gym instructor, you're a personal trainer. You don't sell you don't sell, I want to help you lose weight. Nobody goes to the gym because they want to lose weight. So hello, losing weight is a function of going to the gym. No one goes to the gym because they want to be healthy. Hello. I work out, Mikey works out. We're not going to the gym because we like to carry iron. We want to go to the gym so we can oppress people. So when people meet us, they say, do you work out? When we hear, do you work out? We say, hey, he's walking. Hey, this my gym instructor, I'll pay him more money. You know what I mean? We go to the gym because we want to be able to take our shirt off without feeling bad about it. We go to the gym because we want to oppress other people. Ladies go to the gym, in some cases, many times, because they want to lose their tummy. They want to have a bigger bum or this toned arms, whatever the point is. So you don't sell come and lose weight. What you sell is a sexy beach body 24/7, 365. Did you understand what I'm saying? That's what you sell. So you sell have a sexy beach body 24/7, 365 days of the year. That's what you sell. So we will endure the torture and the reps and the crunches and the lunges and the planks, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at the destination. Oh Lord, my God, this 6 packs, I must have it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't sell the transportation, sell the destination. So you've got to think about it and say, with my customers, what is their desired destination? And I want to put it like this, right? Your customers are buying, right? In many cases, you can sell to your customers fantasy and their desire, right? Their deepest, darkest fantasies that they don't tell anybody about, right? Let me give you an example. There's a brand that called me to do some work for them, and they sell cookware. They sell pots and pans. And these pots and pans are pretty expensive, like $1 million for pots and a pan or a plate. And people are like, why am I buying pots and pans for $1 million? What's that? I beg. And I had to tell them, and I'll share it with you what I told them, but let me not preempt myself. All right. So where are they going? You've got to be able to tell them. All right. So this is now what I want to tell you. You've got to be able to sell whatever you're selling. Think about it by selling status products with whatever benefits. I didn't have the word, so I just put X. You're selling status products with X benefits. Allow me to explain. Check this out. Let me show you. Right? So we know what these shoes are. These are shoes. Louis Vuitton, not Louis Vuitton, Christian Louboutin shoes, right? Red bottom soles. Most women would love to have these shoes. Most women would love to buy these shoes, right? And these shoes don't come cheap. Now, what are they selling? Are they selling shoes? No, they're not. They're selling a status product with motion benefits. It is a status product that just happens to help you walk. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. It's a status product that just happens to help you walk, right? So when a woman buys Christian Louboutin red bottom soles and she walks into a room and she crosses her legs and you see those red soles, what she's telling you is, I am not your me too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the desire, the envy, the jealousy, the attention that the shoes gather is not because it's shoes. It's because of what the shoes represent. So the woman who owns these shoes is telling you subliminally that both of us are not in the same category. Now, if both of us have the same shoes, we kind of feel like, okay, yes, we can relate because birds of the same feather, not the same mama born them. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you're selling a status product with motion benefits. Let me give you another example. The big thing now for many women is a Birkin bag, all right? A Birkin bag is top drawer, really exclusive, really limited, and blah, blah, blah. Now, let me use a scripture. I hope you don't mind. There's a scripture that's very, very common. It says, no man lights a candle and puts it under a table, but he puts it blah, blah, blah. Right? Now, the 21st century and metaphor of that scripture simply says, no woman buys a Birkin bag and puts it on the floor. Rather, she puts it on a hook, hangs it on her desk. Yes, Wano, hangs it on her desk, turns the logo to face you so that you will know that she's not your mate. Can I get a witness from somebody? Say amen. Drop amen in the comments. Just, you know what I'm saying? So you are selling a status product with motion benefits. Think about it this way. Harvard University, Stanford, Oxford, Yale, Tulane, you know, the school that your children are going to in Lekki, right? What are they selling? They are selling an education product with status benefits. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you don't know how to throw in the status of what you're selling, right, people may not be interested. Let me put it this way. There are three levels, right? You are either selling a commodity, you're either selling a commodity, a necessity, or exclusivity. So if you're selling to the 90%, the mass market, the bottom of the totem pole, the Boguero, so to speak, you are selling a commodity. People don't care what you buy. If it's pure water, listen, if you've ever bought pure water in the sachet, and I'm gonna confess, I bought pure water, yes. But if you've ever bought pure water, particularly in traffic, because some people will fall, pure water, what's that? I don't have no pure water. Hello, we have not all been like this. If you've ever bought pure water in traffic, have you ever looked at the NAFDAC number? No, you have not. Have you ever looked and said, this pure water, where are they producing it? No, you have not. Why? Because you are buying a commodity. If you don't buy from that boy that is selling and trying to catch up with you, you don't lose anything because you know that in traffic, you will still find another one, right? So you're selling a commodity to the 90%. If you're now selling to the 10%, you are now selling a necessity. You're showing them it is necessary for them to have this thing. So for example, you will now be able to sell to them maybe bottled water, you know, whatever brand it is, I'm not going to mention any brands, bottled water, and the brand may be maybe 100 Naira or 200 Naira. But now guess what? If you're selling water to the 1%, they're not buying branded bottled water. They're not buying traffic water. They are buying, and at this level, they're now buying Ciroc. They're now buying sparkling water. They have, you know, they'll say, oh, you know, is this mountain fresh? Is this straight from the mountain? You know, they have all sorts of plenty English. For the 1%, they are now buying exclusivity. So you've got to recognize what you're selling. I got to move on. All right. So education, most schools sell a status product that have educational benefits. So what are you selling? Is your product a status product that has which benefits? Think about it. All right. Moving on. Here, very important. You must sell and attract your tribe and ignore everybody else. Hello, this is the hard part, because for many entrepreneurs, we believe that every Tom, Dick, and I'm not gonna say Harry because my name is Harris, all right? Every Tom, Dick, and put your name there is set, you know, is their customer. No, they are not. You've got to be able to qualify the people that should join your tribe. You're not selling to everyone, all right? So I say here, it's about emotional marketing. Okay, it's about emotional marketing. Your brand must evoke a strong emotional response. And there are 5 emotional responses. I'm going to run through them quickly. Number 1, love. People will love you. Number 2, people will hate you. Number 3, people will love to hate you. Number 4, people will hate to love you. Number 5, people will ignore you. All right, can I say that again? Let me say it a little slower. Number 1, people will love you. Number 2, people will hate you. Number 3, people will love to hate you. Number 4, people will hate to love you. And number 5, people will ignore you. Now let's tell the truth and let the devil be ashamed, right? Which one do you think you are? Which brand do you think you naturally evoke? And if you want to be honest, many of us fall into the ignore category. Because let me help you understand something. Love is a deliberate marketing strategy. It is deliberate. You can't just say, I want them to love me today. I hate that you are deliberately pushing people to love you. It is a strategy. Hate is a very strong strategy, right? If you look at the American elections, you may argue here and there, but like Banky said, how's that thing that he said? Where energy goes, focus flows. Have you say it again, Abi?
Where focus goes, energy flows.
Where focus goes, energy flows. So if you look at the elections, there's a lot of focus in a particular direction, and there's a lot of energy in that direction. Whether it's love or hate, it's strong. So people will love you, they will hate you, they will love to hate you, they will hate to love you. All right, in this case, this is where, I think I fall in this love-hate relationship. Because people are like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he for me? He's too fine. So, yeah, I know. He's too fine. So he's too proud. Oh my God, I hate him. One is like, oh my goodness, this guy. That is intentional. And all of that is intentional because it must evoke an emotional connection. All right, now here's the interesting thing. Manchester United is not trying to attract Arsenal fans. They are all football clubs. Man U, the Arsenal fan is long suffering. The Arsenal fan, right, has they're into long-term commitment relationships. Do you understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, right? So Man U is not trying to poach Arsenal fans. They are trying to attract their tribe. They're speaking about history. They're speaking about winning. They're speaking about performance. You know what I'm saying? Different things, all right? So you've got to recognize that if you are a business and you are a club, you're not trying to attract everyone. You're just trying to attract your people, all right? Let me move on. So what emotion are you deliberately projecting? So is it love? Is it hate? Is it love to hate, hate to love, or is it ignore? And if you want to tell the truth and let the devil be ashamed, many of us fall in the ignore category. Our customers are ignoring us. That's why you post something on Instagram and nobody cares. It's just flying. And let me just add one thing. Don't judge your marketing efforts, particularly on Instagram, by likes and comments. Where you should really look are at your saves. How many people are saving it? Because guess what? I can like your post. So for example, Banky can post something, and Banky posts a lot of great things. So Banky can post something, right? And because he's my guy, I will like it. I don't have to read it, so it's just that Banky posted it and he's my guy. And I'll feel guilty that my guy posted something, and how can I just pass by my guy without liking it? So I can like it without really liking it. I don't even know what I'm saying. I can like it without really liking it. But for me to save it, I have to like it to save it. I don't even know what I'm saying. In fact, I have to love it. So you have to measure your content, not by buy followers. You can buy followers on Instagram.
Steve?
So you can hack the app by buying fake followers. All right? Fake followers, check it out. Fake followers, can you still hear me? All right? Fake followers can like your content. Fake followers can comment. Fake followers cannot share it to their village people, and fake followers cannot save it, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you post content, don't look at likes and saves. Measure it by, Instagram measures it by saves, shares, comments, and then likes. All right, I got to move on. My last point. Even if you sell intangible services, so you may not be in the business of selling physical products, right? You may be in the makeup business, you may be a speaker, you may be whatever. Even if you sell intangible services, what your customers are paying you for are tangible results of transformation. Every customer wants transformation. If you're a gym instructor, they want to see which is why before and afters are amazing. Oh, I came into this place with my business, and this Mastercard SME Masterclass training transformed my business in 90 days. It's transformation. That's what your customers buy. All right. So the point is, what is the end result you deliver? Somebody can come in looking like this, but at the end of the day, they want to come out looking like that. That is the end results that they are interested in. Like my brother said, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you. And thank you so much.
I wish we had more time. I mean, so much crammed into 30 minutes. Thank you. Well, a little over 30 minutes, if we're being honest. But thank you so much. It was an amazing presentation. I mean, where do I start? Your nuggets were like, I don't even know which point to focus on. I mean, but for me, I think the one thing that came through is your point about focusing on your tribe, right? Like there's so many people out there. If you focus on the people and make those people love you, just hi.
Absolutely.
If you focus on that one, on your tribe, and make those people love you, and then you will have the customers that you're looking for. So guys, I hope you've been dropping your questions, because we're going to take a number of questions. We can't take so many, so we can, but I will try to take as many as possible. Okay. So we have a dress seller here, and you saw that dress seller point really well. So we have a dress seller here who says, I like the dress seller strategy, selling jealousy and not just cotton. But how do I apply this as a gadget seller with phones, laptops, power banks? So not a dress seller after all.
Yeah, so if you're selling that kind of thing, ultimately, what's the destination? It's about status. So you've got to, again, like I said, you've got to be able to sell them on the desire and the destination that they're going to. You know what I mean? So the person wants a new phone because he needs to be able to, in some cases, stunt in front of his friends. He's got the latest device, he's got the latest gadget that will make him look good. So don't sell, oh, it's Pentium 3. Do they still use Pentium? I don't know, right? Don't sell them on the features. Sell them on the benefits, and not the benefits to you, the benefits to them. So just like the dress, paint a picture of them. I mean, let me give you an example. I use a Mac, right? And for the longest time, I was using a Windows computer. Now, why did I use a Mac? Why did I start using a Mac? Because number one, Mac people were oppressing us, right? It was almost like they were in a cult that, oh, women, Windows people. It was a tribe. It was a tribal war. Well, we're Mac people and then we're Windows people. And then guess what? The fact that you go into a presentation, you've not opened your mouth in the presentation, you brought a Mac, and then the light, Banky, you know what I'm saying, right? The light at the back of the Apple just comes on. You're like, this person is a bad guy. You've not said anything, or you've already made a fantastic impression, right? So those are some of the things you need to be able to position the person at.
Okay. And I'm sorry, guys, this is the final question in this segment. You spoke about money stealing and financial limiting beliefs. I would like to know how to actually change this.
Association is very, very important. Exposure and association. So, I mean, you've got to start hanging around people whose floors are higher than your ceilings. Can I say that again? You got to start hanging around people whose floors are higher than your ceiling. I remember one day, a couple of years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were in my car and I was driving, and I was having a conversation with God in my heart, and I opened my mouth and I said, God, man, I'm really tired of earning millions. I'm really tired of earning millions, right? And my friend who was sitting in the car, he just said to me, God will punish you. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? He said, are you joking? You're saying you're tired of earning millions. He says, it takes me 5 months to earn 1 million naira because my salary is 200K. And you're here saying, because you can go and speak at an event and they'll pay you $1 million, that you're tired of earning millions. God will punish you, right? Now, the difference was if he had taken it, and that's the problem. Many of us are too intimidated by people whose floors are higher than our ceilings, right? So we would start dissing them. I beg, I know where he got the money from. He stole it, or she slept with this person, or he did runs, or blah, blah, blah. Instead of saying, you know what, this person has the ability to generate this kind of value. Let me humble myself. And humility is important, because you may be a 10, 1 to 10 in your circle. Your friends may be 7s and you're a 10. But to come to the next level, you need to go to a place where you are now 11. You are the lowest on a new level, because at that new level, you are an 11 and other people are like 20s, right? So exposure and association is so important.
Thank you so much. We do have quite a number of questions here, but we are out of time. So we will see if we can take 1 or 2 of these important questions at the end of the cumulative session. And so we switch over to our next speaker, Wonola. Thank you so much for being on the call the whole time. You're going to be speaking to us on why SMEs fail and key factors for success. I don't know your content as much as you do, so I'm just going to let you have it. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Soju. And I have to say, you're asking me why I've hung out here. I've had such a good time. I'm sure everybody's seen me, if anybody could have seen me, laughing my head off at both of those presentations. You guys are really amazing. Well done. But yeah, so I'm happy to be here and looking forward to sharing the little nuggets that I have here with you today. So I'm waiting for the slides to come up. Okay, while we wait, quick intro. My name is Wonola Okoye. I am a corporate entrepreneur and CEO of Brandco, as well as the founder of Big Startup and creative director at Apart Africa. I'm also the author of the book called Startup Star, which essentially is a guide to help people, start up and build successful businesses by God's grace. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about why, I feel like everybody has gone through all of the nice, exciting aspects of the world and of business in general. And I am now going to be lumbered with the, talking about why SMEs fail. And I just want to say, okay, anybody here who has ever had a business that has failed before, hands up. I can tell you that I've had several businesses fail, and, failure isn't bad. Failure is good, because what failure does is it helps you actually know what not to do in the second time that you're going for it. So you can skip to the next couple of slides. So today I'm going to be talking about, why SMEs generally fail. I was, in all of this COVID drama that's been happening in the world, I ran across a, presentation. I was talking about, what exactly is the difference between the cause of failure, or cause of death in this case, and the mechanisms of failure. And the cause of death is essentially COVID most of the times. And I find that a lot of businesses are in this situation where they feel like, COVID is the reason why their businesses have failed. But I kind of beg to differ, because I feel like the reasons why a lot of businesses do fail is, a lot of other reasons, which we're going to be discussing today. So essentially the mechanisms of why businesses fail. You can just skip to the next slide, and we'll make it really quick. So straight to the point, I have about 7 points, so I'll try and run through them very quickly. Why do businesses fail? The first thing I'm going to talk about is why, not validating your business model. So what essentially is your business model? I'm pretty sure a lot of people know exactly what this is, and it's essentially how you make money. So what are your cost drivers? What are your revenue drivers? What are the key activities you go through, your key resources, your value proposition, your customer segments, and so on and so forth? It's essentially how you go from creating value for your customers in order to generate money. There's a very simple business model canvas that takes you through the entire process of how to actually make money. So what I generally advise people is, not get too stuck in an idea. I'll give an example. I really was excited about starting this business that in my mind was an amazing idea. It was called Cura. It was supposed to be like a canteen style, business. I ran the numbers because I really like doing numbers. I ran the numbers and I looked at it and I thought, oh, wow, okay, this could make sense. But every time I tried to look at the final results, what did the numbers look like? It never made sense. So I kept tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, speaking to my potential customers, and nobody was interested. But because I was so excited and interested in the idea, I did everything possible to try and make it make sense. I had to stop myself at some point and go, actually, do you know what? Look at the business model, look at the numbers. It doesn't make sense. Nobody wants this business. If you actually carry on and go and do it, it's going to be a failure. So what I want to advise is that, you need to sit down and really look through exactly what your business model is, and if people are interested in buying what it is you're selling, or, buying whatever products that you have. So do your numbers make sense? I suggest that everybody, have a financial advisor or a numbers cruncher that actually creates that business model or that financial model that really, really talks through what your cost drivers are, what your revenue structure is, and see if the numbers actually make sense. There's that saying, men lie, women lie, but numbers do not ever lie. They tell you the truth. Yes, the assumptions are assumptions, as you were, but then they're generally very intelligent assumptions that help you actually determine whether or not you need to go ahead with the business. So the first thing I want to say is validate your business model. And how do you validate your business model? I'm going to speak more about other aspects of this business model. So you can move to the next slide. And the next. Okay, so what exactly is your unique selling point? I want to switch it and say, what is your value proposition? So the value proposition essentially is, what are you giving your customers that they're already not getting? What pains are you taking away? What gains are you adding to them? I'll give an example of a business I started quite a few years ago, and it's called Apart. Apart is I'm going to make a lot of retail references because I'm generally a retail entrepreneur. Apart Africa is a luxury leather goods brand. And when I started this business, honestly speaking, it was in the downturn, and I just wanted to look for a business that I could export. And at the time, I had no idea what it was I wanted to do. I'd been in retail for a while, and I had a general idea of what people wanted and what the margins were in terms of, selling accessories. And I had to figure out what it was that was going to differentiate me from other customers and other bag sellers and other bag retailers. And the first thing that came to mind eventually was how to make these bags personalized. So essentially, what your value proposition is what you are giving to your customers that they already don't have, that they're excited about, that is actually taking away the pain for them. And in this case, it was very simple. It was, giving them something that made them feel special, made them feel like, you have a little bag that has your name on it or your picture on it. You can carry your loved ones, with you everywhere you go if you decided that you wanted to have a picture of your person on it. So it was actually figuring out who the customers were, what they really wanted, and then going for it. Now, this differentiated us from other customers in the sense that nobody was generally doing any personalization on their bags at the time. I'll give another example. When I just started working in Nigeria, I used to be obsessed with vintage clothes. I used to sell vintage clothes, but then I realized that it was very expensive at the time. This is before retail had evolved into what it is now. At the time, a lot of people are selling out of their cars, selling out of their parents' houses, and, it made it very inconvenient for people to come and buy things from you. I decided that, because I'm selling these vintage clothes, how can we then create this platform that can reach my customers, engage with them, and actually speak to them to know what it is they want? We set up this thing called Le Petit Marché, and what Le Petit Marché is a small market that was putting together different types of businesses, mostly in retail, mostly in fashion. And it was a symbiotic, platform that would bring different brands together, and you can come validate what your idea is and really just speak to your customers to really understand what it is they want. At the time, what that business did was to create an opportunity for people who wanted to sell and give them a platform to sell at a very low cost but extremely high impact. You find that a lot of people are coming to these fairs and are coming to these platforms where they can interact with their customers, interact with people they know, and that is how this business was birthed. And from there, being able to understand what it is that your customer wanted, speaking to them one-on-one, and really just going with the flow was an amazing breaking point, if you like, for fashion industry. So understanding what it is that you're giving to your customers in terms of value, and then really, really going for it. So you can go to the next slide now. Another one. So you need to really identify the gaps within the market and figure out the space it is that you want to play. And you can skip to the next slide. So, okay, so now you know what your business model is and you've identified what your unique selling point is. Now you need to go out and sell it to actual people. So who is your target audience? I generally do this exercise with people that I coach and businesses that I work in, is to create what your customer archetype is. And the customer archetype goes beyond just telling people, describe who your customer is, or between the age of X and X, they live in so and so and so. You need to go down into very specific detail, i.e. give them a name, give them an age. So it has to be in relation to whatever it is you're selling. So for example, if you're an ice cream seller, you need to be able to create that customer archetype that speaks to what it is you're solving as a business or as a brand. So your customer archetype can do something like, okay, her name is Shalewa. She lives in Surulere. She earns so and so a month. She's 26 years old. She lives with her parents. She has a sweet tooth and is generally always looking for something to buy around 8 p.m., to get ready to watch her Netflix and chill kind of thing. So you now then understand what that person is, what they like, what motivates them, what drives them, and then begin to marry your vision with the communication. So you're going to be saying, generally, Shalewa around 8 o'clock is looking for something to buy with ice cream. Then you know that you're going to be inserting communication around that time, because you know that she's perhaps on social media at that time or doing whatever it is that you've identified that your customer archetype is going to be doing. So you can give them a name so that every time that you're communicating, you're very specific, very targeted about what it is you're saying to her and how to reach her. It'll help you, it'll inform the way you're communicating with them, and then you're able to reach them much more efficiently. Again, if you know exactly who your customer is, what they like, what influences them, where they go, what they like to buy, it'll help you determine, the kind of influencers you use, for example, the kind of platforms you use to market to them, and so on and so forth. Next slide. So brand identity, this is my favorite aspect of it. What is your brand identity? If you look around and if you've seen any of the other speakers, Mastercard is very particular about their brand and about their brand identity. So being consistent with your brand identity and your brand is high up there in how you can make sure your business does not fail. So what exactly is your brand? What is your brand identity? I feel like people have evolved from calling businesses and actually just branding them as brands now, because people identify that people recognize brands, they want to be associated with brands, and they want to be affiliated with brands. So now you know your USP, you know your target audience, you know what your business model is. How do you then create the visual representation of what you're saying that you are? So your brand identity goes beyond what your logo is actually. Your logo, it is your logo, it is your font sizes, your fonts, it is your colors, it is your, your type, your color marks, the colors that you use, your moods, and so on and so forth. It is the entire brand identity kit that really informs how you then deliver your messaging. So your brand identity needs to be consistent across board, across all touch points. You know that you will never see a Mastercard logo, not looking exactly like what the Mastercard logo is. So you're going to be consistent across board. What that consistency then means, and it breeds, is trust. So your customers come to you because they trust you, because they don't even realize that you're inserting all these subliminal messages into them, making sure that your visual representation is always the same and consistent across board all the time. So you need to be very specific about what your brand identity is. Okay. Investing too much too soon. I mean, I think that I've fallen into this category quite a number of times, but I'll give an example of a time when I didn't fall into that category. And, when we first started Apart Africa, I only invested 6,000 Naira. And a lot of people think, oh, how is that even possible? What did you do? And for me, before you go out and invest those big monies into a business, you need to validate your business idea and validate your value proposition. So you create what I call, or what is called, the minimum viable product. And essentially the minimum viable product is the smallest, cheapest, most efficient version of whatever your business idea is. So with Apart, for example, when we started this business, we launched it with 6,000 Naira. And how did we do that? And I know that this will resonate with a lot of people who are retailers or, designers. We went to the Lekki market. I don't know if anybody knows the Lekki market, but it's the craft markets where you find there are a lot of, bag makers and craft, producers. We bought a bag, literally bought one single authentic snakeskin bag for 6,000 Naira. I brought it home and I sold it to my mother, actually, randomly. I sold it to her for 35,000 Naira. And what that meant for me was, oh, wow, somebody's actually interested in buying this at those multiples from whatever. I remember I bought it for 66,000 naira and I ended up selling it for 35,000 naira. Sold this bag to my mother, took that 35,000 and ended up buying 5 more bags. And then we were able to sell to more people, put the money back in, sell to more people. And at that point, when we reached about between 50 and 100 bags sold, we identified that we were able to create our own designs, approach actual bag makers, and then begin to produce something for the public to sell. Now, what this meant was that I hadn't actually invested any money. So anybody that says, oh, you need money to invest into a business, I cannot do my business if it doesn't fail. Identify what your minimum viable product is and really, really try to see if you can actually sell it to people. What this helps you do is to identify whether people are interested in your product, interested in your service, or whatever it is you're selling before you go and then make this huge investment in your business. So our part actually started with 6,000 naira. And I'll give you a converse, the converse situation. I had this business, because I'm sure this business called Mayday. And what Mayday was a secondary level of Le Petit Marché. Le Petit Marché was a monthly market, and Mayday was a retail store. And we started Mayday, and it was very amazing, very fantastic. What we wanted to do was bring together indigenous brands, give them a platform to actually sell what it is they were selling at a very low cost, but very high impact. What again that created was a symbiotic relationship between Nigerian designers and Nigerian brands, where people come into the store looking for something else, but end up buying something, from another different brand that they've never met before. So we created this plan, and it was doing really well. We had waiting lists, but then we had the bright idea to expand very quickly. And we grew very, very big, very, very fast, investing a lot of money without actually identifying that the business model did not make sense. So of course, after doing well for a few months, you find that after a year or two, your business will then begin to crack, and all of the mistakes that you had made in the beginning had started to show. So we didn't validate the business model, and we scaled very, very quickly and invested so much without actually validating and understanding that people were not able, or rather the market was not ready for that kind of business. So again, before you invest in a business, understand that you need to have buy-in from your customers and actually go out and speak to them to know that what you are selling is something that they actually want or need. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so now you have all the pretty things in place. You know what your business model looks like. You have your value proposition, so you know what it is that is special about you and that you're selling. You know what your brand identity looks like, i.e., your logo, your fonts, and so on and so forth. And you're ready to actually put together, or rather, you're ready to scale your business. At this point, people are interested in buying your products. You need to put together what I call an operating model framework. So the operating model framework is not your business model. Your business model is basically how you make money. Your operating model framework is how you actually run your business. So what are your technology that you use? Do you use Teams? Do you use Zoom? And so on and so forth. What does your organizational structure look like? What is your succession plan? What are the risks, and what is the governance, and what is the governing body behind your business? What is your core business process? In a space, so in the case of retail, for example, with Branco, we generally have franchise owners where we buy products from, we warehouse, and we retail. So what exactly is your A to Z in terms of your business entire process? How do you measure? What are your measures and incentives? You can't have a business where you're not able to measure what it is that you're doing. How do you determine, okay, these are the markers, these are the triggers to let you know that you're doing well and you're not doing well? So what about the people and the culture? How do you want your people to be? Is it a dressed down organization? Is it a serious organization? What kind of personalities you want them to have? Are they go-getters? And so on and so forth. You need to be able to define all of these things. I think that with Mayday specifically, we didn't have a very, very clear operating model framework that was going to enable us to scale as efficiently as we wanted, because the foundation was not there. So you need to be able to create this operating model and I know it's a very serious business, but to be honest, business is really that serious. You need to design what your standards operating procedures are and really, really stick to them. This is what is going to help you scale from being a small enterprise into a medium or large business. And the last point I'm going to talk about is marketing. So you have all of these fancy things. You know what your USP is, you know what your business model looks like, and so on and so forth. How do you actually go out there? Now, you know exactly who your customer is. And I feel like, especially in a pandemic, the first thing that people want to do is reduce their marketing spend, reduce their marketing budget. But that is actually the last thing that needs to go, because at this point in time, you need to be very specific about how you're reaching people, how you're targeting them. So develop a detailed marketing strategy or an execution plan. What are you targeting? Who are you targeting? Where are they? How do you reach them? What platforms do you reach them on? So you know exactly who your customer is. You've identified what your customer archetype is. So you know that, for example, you're trying to reach women in their 60s. You're not going to be doing sponsored ads on Instagram because perhaps they're not there. The way to reach them is via WhatsApp forwards, because you know that they are the ones who are interested in WhatsApp forwards being sent to them. So you need to understand who your customer is and know exactly where to reach them. And fortunately for us in this digital age, I find that, you know, marketing and advertising has evolved so much. The world has become so much smaller, and digital escalation is constantly, you know, driving how businesses go forward. Take advantage of all of the opportunities that are in front of you. Advertising has become that much cheaper now, especially if you're targeting, you know, a specific age group. Identify and understand what your platforms are, understand your metrics of measurements. I think all the guys have spoken about how, you know, it's not necessarily about the likes, you know, it's about the saves, about the, you know, shares and so on and so forth. Understanding what makes sense for you and your business. Then finally, I want to say, you know, be prepared. Just go out and get there. Understand that if you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to actual people. If you don't have buy-in for your customers, then you're just selling to yourself. So you need to go out, ask questions, speak to people, do focus groups, have conversations with as many people as you, especially your customers, so that you understand what it is they want, understand what their needs are, and then create and cater your business to actually fit those things. There's a lot of, you know, gaps in the market. There's a lot of places that you can insert yourself as a business provider or a service provider. All you need to do is actually go out and speak to people. It's very, very important to not create a business that is solely for you and solely for yourself. I think I've run through that very, very quickly. So maybe we'll have time to take as many questions as possible. But essentially, what I really just wanted to talk about was the practical guys actually not failing, and how you go about making sure that your systems, your processes, your business model, your operating model, your marketing strategy, your brand identity, your value proposition is very, very clearly articulated so that you can actually win those customers. So with those few words, and that very, very brief presentation, I hope I've been able to convince you. But yeah, here for the questions. Here for the questions.
Wow, thank you very much. This has been perhaps the shortest session we've had the whole day, but not in the least bit any less impactful. I mean, I have questions on here about how do I engage my brand? What should I do to work on my brand identity? We'll get to those questions, but I really like what you said about not investing too much too soon, because it happens with a lot of small businesses that when they want to start, they feel they need to have everything and a large chunk of money before they can begin. But walking through your humble beginnings, the Petit Marché, and the other small businesses, that really got to me. And then there was another point you made about a business plan that you had, and you wanted it, you could see it, and maybe a lot of people couldn't, and you kept tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, you know, just because you thought this was the thing, it had to happen. I really liked that example as well. So to make the most use of time, I'm just going to jump into the questions. I am particular about this question because I have the same question. So what if you're struggling to find your brand identity? This is from Samira. Can you give tips to get into that point, you know, to properly tone and hone in your brand identity, make it very clear?
Okay, so there's two ways to look at it. The first way is to really just identify what it is that you want to sell. Understanding what it is that you want to sell is one aspect of it, because that's the one that concerns you, right? And then the other aspect of it is actually understanding what people want to buy. What do people want to buy? Create and craft your narrative to suit that. What I always try and emphasize is to remember that, again, you're not selling to yourself. If you sell to yourself, you'll be the only person buying. Know what it is that people want, identify those gaps, and then reach them at their points of need. So speak to them in a language they understand and give them exactly what it is they want. So in terms of the brand identity, very specifically, is what is your logo? How does it represent what it is that you say that you are? And in any case, your brand identity is not particularly what you say it is, it's what other people are saying about you. Your brand in your mind can be something else, but then what is it actually resonate? What message are you sending, intentionally or unintentionally to your customers? What do they actually say about you? That is exactly what your brand is. You find a lot of brands are very careful now because they want to send out the right message, because once that messaging is shard, then you change the whole story entirely. So be very specific about your messaging. And I know a lot of people don't take this seriously, but what is your logo? What are your colors? The Mastercard colors are orange and yellow. You can't miss it. It is consistent. It is specific. And they do not change it at all. I mean, sometimes there are different variations of it, but before you get to the point where you're able to make a variation of it, you have to have been top of mind with your customers for many, many years before you can say, anybody will recognize the Mastercard mark, because they have been consistent in how they deliver it. What are your fonts? What are your colors? I mean, I suggest that hire a graphics designer. Let a graphic designer create your brand identity kit. And your brand identity kit should have everything from your vision to your mission, to, what your logo is, what your fonts are, what your trademark is, what your, your mission statements, and so on and so forth. It needs to be very, very detailed, very specific, because you're going to be working with different people at every point in time. So that messaging, that kit needs to be carried on from, implementation to implementation across all board, being consistent at every single touch point. So what I want to say is really, really know who you are and what products you want to provide to people. Understand what the customers actually want. And then when you get to know them by creating your customer archetypes, figure out where you can actually meet them. And then you create your brand identity around that. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. Okay, so I have this other question here. I like this one. When using the MVP strategy, you spoke about your initial investment of 6,000. When you made the 35,000, did you take back your 6,000? How did you know when to start taking back personally invested funds?
Okay, so this is this question, again, especially with retail, I'm just going to be honest here. If you're going to invest in a retail business, because retail is really, really hard, and I think it's very, very underestimated. You need to create something that, or rather, you have to research into something called Profit First, actually. There's this person called Mike Michalowicz. I'm going to probably send this later. His name is Mike Michalowicz, and he created this thing called Profit First. And what Profit First actually does is to make sure that you are not working for other people. You're not working for the man, and you're actually working for yourself. Okay, so you're also generating profits at every point in time. Before you start the business, and the Profit First model generally says, what percentage is it would you like to take home, and what is the industry standard? So understand what the industry standard is for your business in terms of ROI, and create that Profit First analysis. You pay yourself first. I know that this is like the opposite of what every accountant will tell you to do, because they're like, no, you have to reinvest the money back into the business. But then at what point do you draw the line? You need to create, if your business is not able to generate a profit immediately, then it means maybe it's not viable. It may not be viable. If you are not able to get millions of dollars in investment, when will you ever be able to put your profits away? So understand what your profit model is, create that profit model, and be very, very specific about it. So you're not going to do like random abstract, oh, I want to take 80% home, because then your business will fail. What is the industry standard in terms of ROI and gross profits or net profit for your business? Put put that away and then put different buckets for things. So for example, your administrative expenses, your that's administrative, your administrative expenses, your capital expenditure, your operating expenditure, and so on and so forth. You put everything into very specific buckets, and you have to be disciplined. You have to be diligent, because otherwise it will not work. But what I always advise, even if it is a naira, whatever that little tiny profit it is that you're taking back, you have to take it back, because otherwise it will be hard. You will not be motivated, you will not be excited, you will not be gingered to actually put any effort into that business, because you're not making any money. So whatever it is you put away, just keep that little tiny profit to the side to make sure that you are always taking something back home with you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one final question before I
ask more. I like
general questions. Boma asked this one. She said her question is on marketing. For some businesses, especially in fashion, the fastest way to reach your target audience is by using social media influencers. For a startup, the charges are really high. So how then does a small business manage marketing budgets in line with this?
So your marketing budget is whatever your marketing budget is, okay? But I want to just say something, especially when it comes to influencer marketing, okay? Do not invest your marketing budget in influencers for influencer's sake, okay? Before you decide who this influencer is or that's going to be, promoting your business, they have to be aligned with you, aligned with your ethos, aligned with your mission, aligned with your vision and your brand focus. So the first level of this is actually finding people, not by the volumes of followers they have. Because if I find one of my favorite influencers on Instagram and she doesn't accept that she's an influencer, she's a micro influencer, but everything she wears, I want to buy. She probably has like 200 followers. And I promise you that me and all the 200 followers that she has is buying everything that she wears. Now, if you compare that to somebody who has perhaps 2 million followers, but, is not, somebody that potentially is advocating for fashion. But then you think, well, that person has 2 million followers, so 2 million people are going to be seeing my product. But then that person then posts your picture and nobody is interested in buying it because they do not rate that person as a fashion influencer, and that person does not influence them to buy. So the first thing you need to do is really, really identify that the person it is that is influencing on your behalf is actually influencing the people that you are targeting. That's the first line. The second aspect of it is, how do you manage influencers? You need to be able to you're creating value for them. So if this person is actually somebody that is interested, and is a representative of what it is that you sell and, believes in what it is that you're selling, they will be more than happy, in the beginning, your humble beginnings, if you like, they'll be more than happy to do a barter. You can do a trade with them. So if, again, back to the fashion, somebody, the fashion influencer, remember that they need content. So you provide clothing for them and you tell them, look, I may not be able to pay you in cash, but please, here are all the clothing I can give to you. Give them free clothes to begin with as you gain traction. But the only way that will work is if that person is actually influencing on behalf of your brand, and that person is believable, and that person is able to communicate what it is that you're communicating in it. So you will not give somebody who is I keep thinking ice cream. Is that ice cream seller? You will not give them soap to sell, because people who are following them specifically for ice cream, not for soap. So if perhaps they put something soap related, nobody's going to buy. So two things. Remember that whoever it is that is influencing on your behalf is actually somebody whose values you believe in and is aligned with your business, and the target customers of yours is aligned with whoever it is that they are actually influencing. The second one is, before you consider payment, and I know every influencer is going to be like, excuse me, we want our money. Before you consider payment, consider how you can add value to them. So if your product is actually something that's adding value to them, is something that they need, then it's a match made in heaven. It's an ewa going and bread kind of situation, yeah?
Okay, thank you so much, Bonu. I think I have time to go back to Bankole and ask one other question. There was a question from Priye. He says he's a barber and he's wondering if he is surrounded by other barbers, how does he distinguish his business? What should he do?
You know, that's a beautiful question because I have a barber who is exceptional. And, you know, I, it's interesting that it's interesting because before I started using him, I had a problem with barbers on the island. You know, I used to live in Yaba, and I'm very selective about who cuts my hair, even though I don't really have hair. But I used to have a barber in in Yaba. And when I moved to Lekki, I always used to go to Yaba, you know, almost every week to cut my hair, and it didn't make any sense. And I'd meet barbers who, you know, after maybe cutting because normally I tip the barber and I pay him, you know, more than what he normally would ask for. So I'll try out different barbers, and maybe like the second time or third time they're cutting my hair, they're telling me about their family problems and things like that, right? I think barbers need to recognize that they ought to be very professional, and this applies to everybody who runs a business. It is important that you are very professional to the degree where you establish a relationship first with your clients, right? Don't assume that because you know you are the person's barber and have proximity is not necessarily relationship, right? So focus on, you know, building a relationship with your customers or serving them well, you know, being professional, and then they will reward you with a relationship. So I think that is very, very important. Now, in terms of standing out, I'll say this. So I'll give you an example. Because of how professional my barber is and how good he is at his job and everything, on my own, right? One time I told him, because I love influencing for people on my page, I told him, you know what, let's take a picture together. And I'm just going to talk about you, right? And how professional you are. And then people are going to gravitate towards you. Now, once you have built or established a relationship, that now becomes leverage for you to be able to, you know, seek for favors where you are not just asking for money, but you're asking for leverage, which is one of the things that I am now offering this particular guy so that more people can get to know about his service, right? The goal is to win the heart of your customer, and then you will get the money as a reward. The problem is most people are prioritizing the money, and money is great, don't get me wrong, but when you win the heart, you gain access to the combination of the vault where the money is. So focus primarily on investing in the emotional bank accounts of these people. They on their own will start referring you to people and talking about your service.
Thank you. The next question I have here is for Steve. Since many people measure your credibility with the number of followers you have, how can you grow your business if you don't have a lot of followers on social media?
To be honest, I really don't think it's about the number of followers, but I know some people may say, well, you have tons of followers. I think people follow value. You know what I mean? People follow value. People follow the fact that you're making a difference to them. People follow the fact that you have a strong emotional connection that resonates with them in a way that makes them feel like they're going to follow you. There are people who are controversial, for example, on social media, and controversy is what drives their growth. There are some people who are value adding. They're preachers who talk about different things. So my point is, your message has a market. Your message has a market, but you've got to be able to resonate and build that strong emotional connection. And I think the problem is a lot of people don't know what you stand for. So there could be tons and tons of maybe hair or wig sellers, perhaps on Instagram, but you would notice that the ones who perhaps have the greatest growth or engagement, it's because they are engaging. You know what I mean? You can't grow engagement without yourself being engaging. You know, you drop a comment, somebody drops a comment, you just ignore it. You create conversation. I mean, one of the things that you will notice that perhaps a lot of these people a lot of us on this platform have is, beyond just having followers, we actually engage with our followers. We engage, we create conversations, we go live, we answer their questions. And it's not because we're coaches or entrepreneurs or consultants. It's because we recognize that, we want to be able to engage with the people. So for example, whether you sell hair, shoes, or bags, you can decide to go live for, let's say, let's say you do furniture. Let's say you have interior, decor, an interior decor business. You can decide to say, every other day, once a week, I'll go live and I'll teach on something that I call the missing part, the missing pieces of your home. And what you do is you just pick one piece from your maybe your store, maybe it's a vase, maybe it's a Ming vase, or it's a whatever, and you pick that and say, today's piece that is missing from your home is this Ming vase. And you talk about this and you talk about the value it will bring. And before you know it, you become an authority, right? The point is, all of you watching are authorities in your business, but nobody knows about you. So you're winking in the dark, adding value, but you're not tooting your own horn. And please allow me to just quickly say this. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly in Africa, fall under the category of, well, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. He will exalt you in due time. Don't be bragging, so that God will not strike you dead. There's a significant difference between humility, bad English doesn't exist. There's a significant difference between humility, humility, and arrogance. Humility is making yourself small so that others feel big. So you say at the end of the session, oh, Steve, your session was great. The natural response you expect from me is, hey, not God, Baba God, no me, is the way you people taught me, right? And we say all those things to make ourselves small so that you feel big about yourself. But the problem is, subconsciously, the more you keep doing it, you're training your brain not to be able to market for you when the opportunity comes. So the day you now have to pitch your value, you can't, because you've trained yourself to be humble. Real humility is recognizing that you're a big deal, but you're not trying to make anyone feel small. Steve, how's your presentation? It was fantastic. It was amazing. Fire everywhere, right? And that's me admitting that my content was great. So I recognize that I'm a big deal, but I'm not trying to make anyone feel small. Arrogance, on the other hand, is recognizing you're a big deal, but then you're deliberately trying to make other people feel bad. So I'll say, the Mastercard session was great. I dusted banking. Banking was bad. That's ridiculous. That's arrogance. So recognize, toot your own horn. Say that you are amazing at what you do, but not at the expense of other people. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We got a request. Someone in the chat wanted to see the first slide from Wanu. So that's why we're putting this up. I don't know if this is the slide you wanted. If you can comment and let us know if we've given you what you want, please let us know. But in the meantime, I want to say a big thank you to all three of you. To wrap this up, I'm going to go around the room again and ask if you have any final words for the audience, for the people watching and listening today. Wanu, I'll start with you.
Okay, and this is just very practical as usual, because I obviously clearly like practical things. I think it's to just never hold on too much to an idea. Be very, very objective, be very practical about every single business idea it is you have. Again, always remember that you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to people. So go out there, test the hypothesis of what you think your business model should look like and what it should be, speak to your customers, engage them, and never get so emotionally. I mean, I think you have to fail a couple of times before you lose that emotional connection to your business idea, but never get so emotionally attached that you stop seeing where it is you're going and then you start making bad business decisions.
Fantastic, short and sweet. Steve, I'll come to you next.
Well, first off, thank you, Mastercard. We had an amazing time. Second, to all the participants who showed up, thank you. But now the lesson is done, and then the work begins. You know what I mean? So you've gotten the principles, but then you've got to make it work. Keep trying. Yeah, and don't be afraid to fail, okay?
Super. And Bankole, any parting words?
Well, my final word would just be very simple. It's not what you know that makes the world of difference. It is what you do with what you know. Guys, you've heard all of this. The question is, what are you going to do? So it's not about all the goose pimples that we're experiencing right now. Seeing all the comments, oh, it was lit, it was hot. Let your business be lit. and let it be hot, right? By you taking deliberate steps. So small steps over a long period of time can make a world of difference. So don't wait until tomorrow, start today. Thank you.
Fantastic. So at this point, I think we are ready to wrap up. I would say a big thank you to our speakers, to Wanu, to Bankole, to Steve. Your insights were invaluable. And to all of you who attended, I hope you found these sessions insightful. I hope you got what you needed for the businesses that you're running. And we've gotten quite a number of questions as to if we will be hosting or posting this session somewhere. We will be. We will let you know. We'll send you an email to let you know where you can find it after the session. But we will have it hosted somewhere so you can go back to the lessons, go back to the thoughts that have been shared, and refresh your minds and answer the questions for yourselves once again. So thank you again to our amazing panelists. Thank you to our very engaging audience. And this is bye-bye from us at Mastercard. Bye, everyone.